Hello, this week on 5 Brilliant Things, we have the fantastic Susie Dent. We spoke about her best friend being a pebble. We spoke about the power of swear words. We spoke about the Japanese words for trees. Words. It was incredible stuff about the Danes, the Germans. The Finnish word for having no money is something to do with a broken arsehole. It was an absolutely fascinating episode. Susie Dent, where do we find you?
You find me sitting at home in quite a little, I like to call it my study, but that's a bit of a grand title for it. I'm surrounded by dictionaries, obviously, but also quite a few props from 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown. So to my left, I have a giant piñata of me, who's incredibly scary looking, kind of urging me on. I've got Sean Locke's Difficult Dictionary on my top shelf.
Oh, nice.
And I've got a Barbie doll fake of me as well. So those are all staring down at me. That's where I am, in Oxford, I should say.
Oh, lovely. And a beautiful painting in the background.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That is from Sri Lanka.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's lovely and stretched. How'd you get that in a suitcase?
I didn't. It was actually a present from a friend of mine who lives out there. And I think it's supposed to go vertically, but I don't. My walls are not high enough or posh enough, so I've just put it landscape. But it's pretty.
Lovely. And your car is broken down, which is why you're not with us in person.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
That's
I have
absolutely
flogged
fine.
This poor car to death. It's on its last legs, basically. It's 170,000 miles. It's time for a new one, Russell.
And are you gunning it? How do you drive? I've just got an image of you just like foot down. You remember when Jamie Carragher spat out the window? Similar kind of. I'm imagining that. Get out of the way, you toilet. Is that Susie Dent?
I could possibly comment, but yeah, it does. It can go at a fair lick. But I like to think I'm quite nice to it. It's got eco mode. I kind of often drive in eco mode, which I know a lot of people find really boring, but for some reason I feel like I'm doing my bit. Although I think it's not for the planet; it's just for the car.
What the thing I find really frustrating about modern cars is it's incredible, but frustrating. It's the bum seat, because 3 is too many and 2 is not enough. You know, when you kind of warm your bum up in the winter.
Yes.
If they can make a 2.5, then I think we've definitely hit self-actualization.
I remember talking to Alan Carr about his first electric car, which is definitely what I'm going to have next. But I'm slightly worried about it because I have my electric heated seats on at all times. I hate aircon, so I will either have nothing, no heating, whatever, and just have the heated seats on. But he used his so often that he had to stop in some little village and knock on a door and ask if he could pass his plug through the window and charge it up for a bit because it really uses up the juice. So.
Is that right?
That's a slight worry.
What
yes.
a fantastic story.
It just was such a lovely image.
Yeah, but it's just like this sort of like little lady going, "Oh, this is Alan Carr." Who just how lovely. Let's move on from broken cars to things that you adore. What is your first brilliant thing?
My first brilliant thing is a pet rock. Mm-hmm. Now, Russell, you are way too young
Dwayne
to
Johnson?
remember these.
No.
Oh, okay. Absolutely not. No, these are literally, if you were to go onto a beach or if you are lucky enough to have a gravel drive, it is one of those big pebbles that back in the 70s was sold to gullible people like me, age whatever, like 9, 10, and they were wrapped up in this very special box, and it says, be careful when you open them because pet rocks can be very playful. But it can impart so much wisdom because it's been with us for millions of years. And I was a complete sucker for this. I had a pet rock. I kept it by my bedside table. And actually, do you know what? It became, this makes me sound so sad. It became as special to me for a little while as a pet that I wasn't allowed to have. Although we did have a dog, but I wasn't really allowed many other pets. And I loved this thing. And I took it with me everywhere. And I did a quick check, actually, and you can still buy them.
Really?
Okay, so on a particular popular website, it says approximately 2 inches, but very playful. A pet rock to call your very own. It's got 4.6 reviews. You'll never need to feed it, walk it, bath it, groom it, or neuter it. Pre-trained to sit and stay, and best of all, your pet rock is the only pet that will never run away.
There you go.
And I've only met a few people in my life that actually had a pet rock, and they didn't buy theirs; they just picked it up.
Yeah, there's easier ways of doing it. So, did you ask Father Christmas for it, or were you lucky enough to get this for a birthday, or was this just a present that your folks got you?
None of the above. I think I saved up my pocket money for a pet rock.
That is heartbreaking. Good Lord, how much did it cost?
I can't remember.
To save up for a rock.
I know. I remember getting £5 every Christmas. That was such a special treat, and we'd go to Hamleys, and I would spend my money there. But yeah, I did spend quite a lot of money on it. But I didn't regret it. I really, really loved this thing. I really believed in it. So,
and so you had it when you were
kind of really young imagination.
So you were 10 years old.
I think I was about 9.
9. And would you talk?
8 or 9.
Would you talk to it?
I would talk to it. I would tell it my secrets. I had a secret diary as well. I had one of those ones where you could kind of lock it with a little padlock.
Oh yeah.
And
or smash it open with a rock.
Well, yeah, I could ultimately have done that. Maybe my sister would have done that.
But
yeah, but anyway, I would recommend pet rocks. There was something very, to use that awful word, very mindful about it, and it just felt quite calming to have this by my bed because it had been there for millions of years, and it probably had witnessed quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I think of like pebbles and rocks, one of my favourite things, skimming. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it was for me. It was never holding on to the rock, but it was finding that perfect skimming rock on like a pebble beach where you're like, oh, I reckon I can get 6 out of that. Do you know what I mean? And just seeing them, thump, 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 thump. Oh,
but
so
there's
calming.
Such pleasure in finding that perfect one, isn't there? And kind of scouring the beach. It's the same for seashells. I used to collect those as well. So I think, we didn't have mobile phones, thank God, then. And we lived fairly remotely. So I did have friends, but I didn't see them every day because they lived quite far away. So I would go off collecting conkers and then go back and such a sweet, innocent childhood. And then I'd go back and chat to my pet rock if my sister wasn't interested.
Apparently it's a bumper year for conkers. My wife was telling me this, and now I've said it, you'll notice it wherever you look. There's conkers everywhere. This is true, and really early, and also what's quite sad in a way because so many of our trees, and I'm a complete dendrophile. I'm a complete tree lover, and there's so much vocabulary to do with trees. And so, what is a tree lover? A dendrophile. A dendrophile. Nice. Yeah, and in Japan they have such a huge lexicon for the importance of trees. So they have very specific names for blossom, and they have this huge ritual, obviously, of the cherry blossom every year, but also for the dancing pattern of the sunlight on a woodland floor. They have just beautiful things. But what was quite sad, I noticed this summer, is that the trees were obviously really, really suffering from the drought. But the conkers were huge. It was like they were putting all their energy into that at the expense of themselves, which is quite often, I guess, what women do when they're pregnant is just, if they're ill, they get ill, but the baby stays intact. And were you into conkers when you were little? Did you kind of try massively? Yeah. But not so much fighting with them. We did have something which was a bit like conkers, which were called knockers. Okay. Is this a private school thing or what's going on? No, they were like, it was like conkers. Yeah. So it was like 2 really massive hard balls, and they were joined at the top, and you would flip them, and they would do this fantastic, so it's a little bit like conkers. They would hit each other and go off. Yeah. Go up and stuff, and the harder you hit them. Anyway, I do remember that. They were banned from my school. But I don't think I ever actually played conkers because you had to roast them and everything, don't you? Yeah, it was like, I remember all the kind of weird ritual baking, covering them in vinegar. Yeah. There was an estate, like this really sort of flash estate where we lived, and our dad we would literally break into this estate because they had really good conker trees when we were kids, like 8 years old, with balaclavas on, to steal conkers. So my sort of memory of it is tied up with this kind of like thieving, like late night stealing. Put your balaclava on, boy, let's get some conkers. I don't think the world's like that anymore. But no, that's actually really cute. Yeah, it felt like something out of like Danny the Champion of the World, where Do you know what I mean? We'd like hop the fence and try and find. And also, let's be honest, really difficult to find conkers in the dark. Do you know what I mean? There would have been
Wow.
easier times. But we had like a flashlight. It was so weird. I'll have to
I
ask my
love
dad
this.
about that. Yeah, very weird.
Did you go scrumping as well for apples?
All that kind of stuff, yeah.
All of it, yeah.
Scrumping is such a beautiful kind of West Country word for thieving, isn't it?
True.
Do you know what I
It's
mean?
true.
You're
Legging out the
stealing
neighbour's
someone
tree.
else's apples. No, I'm a scrumper. You're like, oh, it's quaint.
Yeah, looking for scrumpy, definitely.
He's Mexican.
Who is?
The Rock.
The Rock
Susie's Rock is Mexican.
is that right?
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
So the original 70s Pet Rocks is this ad guy called Gary who invented it.
Gary from Mexico.
No, Gary was from America and he'd started the Pet Rock thing, and all the Pet Rocks he bought for a penny or a cent each from Mexico.
Right.
And they were the rocks he used for the Pet Rocks. He became a millionaire in 6 months.
Wow.
Oh, you're kidding. Thanks to me
Yeah.
and a millionaire in 6 months. I mean, I can't believe my parents actually let me spend money on this, but it did come, as I say, in this little crate, and it was wrapped up in tissue paper and lots of instructions. But yeah, weirdly no name. Okay, well, that was one of the early scams then, I reckon.
Yeah, it's up there when, you can like name a star,
Yes.
I think that's like 50 quid, isn't it? Extraordinary that you get a certificate when you're like, yeah, that one's called Trevor now. It's been named forever. It's Trev. Well, lovely start. Very
Niche.
very niche. Yeah, we've never had a pebble, but or a rock. What's the difference between a pebble and a rock?
Do you want me to look it up in the dictionary?
Yeah. Well, if I'm going to ask anyone.
Yes. So my immediate assumption is size, but I am so not a geologist that.
What do we think?
Pebbles feel smooth to me.
Yeah, to me it sort of feels like it's going to be a
You gave me
a texture thing.
an angular pebble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, unknown origin. It's first recorded in place names from the early 12th century. And yes, a pebble is defined as a small stone made smooth and round by the action of water or sand, not sound. And a rock, lots and lots. A stone of any size, a precious stone, especially a diamond, a man's testicles,
Okay.
a
rock?
money. Oh gosh, there's lots and lots of definitions. So I suppose that a pebble can be a rock, but not vice versa.
Lovely.
Maybe.
Feels like we should throw to the break now. What is your next brilliant thing, Susie?
So my next brilliant thing is something called Lalokesia.
Okay.
Lalokesia, and it's a slightly clunky title for a subject that I find absolutely fascinating, and that is swearing and the history of swearing. And specifically, Lalokesia is the relief that you get from swearing at the right time in the right place. So if you are in pain, stress, if you feel frustration, even if you feel really happy, it has been proven, this is what I find really fascinating, that by having a good swear, you release endorphins, you raise your serotonin levels, which are your happy hormones, and you decrease your cortisol levels, which are your stress hormones. But so there is an absolute tangible physiological benefit to swearing. Obviously at the right time, and we're not talking about aggressive swearing towards someone else, but I find the history of swearing and how our squeamishness kind of shifts over time really, really fascinating. And it's such a hot topic now, medically as well. And you've probably seen, Russell, that it's quite a famous experiment now where someone puts their hand in a vat of ice cold water and sees how long they can keep it in while saying something like bus, as opposed to shouting bollocks, for example. And you can keep it in twice as long if you're swearing. You can withstand the pain of ice cold water if you're swearing.
The fascinating thing, if you put your actual bollocks in that water, then you'd be in it for barely seconds.
That is probably true.
Isn't that-
But even less if you are not swearing with it.
Isn't that wild? So is it that your brain is making sort of pathways to, like, I don't know, sort of pain receptors or something that you can like? Is the language associated with it? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Where you're going, if you go fuck, your body knows. Oh, we've been here before, and that's a trigger for it. I don't know.
I think it's a really interesting question, because I think the actual word in some way is irrelevant, except for the fact that that word is considered taboo, or one of our taboos at that particular time. But in the Middle Ages, if someone was to do it and they were to shout Jesus or whatever, which was really, really profane for them, because taking the Lord's name in vain was the kind of big no-no, then it would have had the same effect. It's basically reaching for language that you know is taboo and getting catharsis through that.
Yeah. But the very fact that that can help with pain relief is so fascinating. I often think, whenever I think of swearing, I think two things. I think of, like, Sean Locke had a routine where he was dealing with someone at British Airways, and the flight had been delayed and his seat had been given away for the next flight or something like that. And Sean was like, for fuck's sake. And the lady said, there's no need to swear. And his bit was like, no, this is the exact time to swear. This is what swearing was invented for. And the other one I think of is Billy Connolly had a phenomenal bit about the word fuck creates its own atmosphere. And that's why you would never read fuck off, he hinted. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's international.
I know, and he says that it's international. He says if you're waiting for your bags at Lasai Airport and someone picks up your bag, you would say fuck off, and he will know exactly what you mean. It's a brilliant sketch, that one.
Do you have a favourite swear word?
Well, I think I've probably already used it. I think it probably is bollocks.
Yeah.
Because you know how we tend to say, he used a good old Anglo-Saxon word. Mm-hmm. Actually, most of our big swears are not Anglo-Saxon. Most of them came about in the Middle Ages or just before. So you will find the C word first recorded, it was completely neutral. You will find it in anatomy manuals and things.
Right.
The F word, one of our first records of it is in a manuscript where a monk, I think, was making notes in the margin, and he used it
with a nice.
He was commenting on the abbots of the day, who were obviously quite lecherous at the time.
Oh, right.
But what was really interesting is he spelt the F-bomb out in full, but he put D dash. He couldn't bring himself to use the word damned, because that was the really, really big taboo at the time. As I say, religious blasphemy.
Yeah.
But bollocks is sort of, it's kind of old I was going to say straddling, that's probably the right word, wrong word, but the kind of straddles Old English and Middle English, so it is one of the early ones. And I just think David O'Doherty does a brilliant thing about this. I think it's really satisfying to say, and he always talks about when Roy Keane used it to the Irish manager. I think he said, stick it up your bollocks or something, which he says anatomically would be very hard to do. Yes. Or shove it up your bollocks or something. But yeah, I think there is something quite pleasing about it. And I also like the fact that historically this was a time when people just told it like it was. As I say, so most of our taboos were maybe a little bit improper, but they weren't sort of unforgivably rude. And at the time, your muscles were called your flesh strings, and your intestines, and this appears in a translation of the Bible, were known as your arse ropes.
Ooh. Which
I think is really expressive. So this was a bollocks was simply a man's testicle. There was nothing attached to that at all. So I guess I always choose these words because I love the history of them. I'm not a huge fan of the F word, if I'm honest, because I think we hear it so often now. I feel like I'm not sure it's lost its power because it's over 500 years old. And, you know, if I talk to students, instead of coming up with new swears, they say, well, I just stick another word on it, like face or something.
Yeah.
They just come up with new compounds.
Yes. I often think that with the word wank, like that wank is so multi-purpose that, you know, to have a wank, masturbation, if something's bad, it can be wank. But if it's wanky, it's quite nice. Like
you will often find that swear words are the most versatile words that we have. And the F-bomb is the same because it can be used as a verb, it can be used as an adjective, it can be used in lots of different compounds. And my favourite, I think, of all uses for swearing is something called temesis, which is where you sandwich, usually a swear word, it doesn't have to be, in between others. So like abso-bloody-lutely, that's called temesis. I think that's quite effective.
Yes.
So yeah, to be honest, I tend to only swear in private most of the time. So if I do stub my toe, then I definitely will, and now we know there's a good reason for it because it's an analgesic. But I don't tend to swear that much. Do you? Do you find yourself using it as a kind of filler?
Frustratingly, whenever I'm doing new material, and I don't know a comedian that isn't like this, that if you listen back to it, at the top of the notes it just says stop swearing. But it's if a comedian is swearing loads, it's because you're kind of panicked. That's for me, and it's always I've had new material nights where it sounds like a Streets album. Do you know what I mean? Like fucking, you know,
the Big Lebowski or something.
But that fucking, fucking, and it's just it just sounds so terrible. So when you kind of firm things up, then they can be deadly, and they're so vital when they're popped into a routine. But if they kind of litter it, you know, it's a bit like too many strawberries in a pavlova. You got to have the right amount.
I think that is true, and it's the same with like as a filler, you know, every year, whenever Love Island comes on, there's always people saying, oh my God, you did 35 times in that sentence. But that as a filler goes back to the 18th century, but it just we're using it just so much now that it kind of, it just...
Some of the fillers are extraordinary though, because like, you'll see young women saying like, you know, and he said this and she said, and I was like, rah, rah, rah. Like they're doing impressions of lions. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not even finishing this. And then he was like, oh, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
But then you'll also get young black men going, rah, cuz. And I love that. But, you know, I just don't feel like I can do it. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think it's just, and that's the whole point of teen slang, or, you know, the slang of a particular generation, because it's supposed to keep outsiders out and insiders in, and it is this sort of tribal shorthand that's really important, really important. And we had it as well. You know, we've probably been using slang when I was talking to my pet rock of some kind, but it's just we're obviously not supposed to speak it.
But given that this is your business, you're in the word game. Do you ever try and infiltrate these worlds because you have the passwords? Like,
that's a nice way of putting it.
But do you hear like sort of like, you know, kids on the street corner, and like presumably it must be that bizarre thing that you can understand exactly what they're saying?
Not always, because it moves so fast, Russell. That's the whole point of it. You know, the moment that somebody understands it has to move on, because well, the moment that somebody outside the group does. But I remember going to a brilliant primary school on World Book Day. And I was trying to get them to come up with new words. And so I was telling these not tiny kids, but they were probably about 7, 8, 9. And I was saying, you know, for example, look at all the new words that you will know that have kind of grown up in the last 6 months or whatever. And I mentioned the word skibbity, which, you know, has no definition because it can be used in so many different ways. And I'm not, the scream I got from them of kind of, it was delight, and they found it hysterically funny that anybody not their age would use that word. And then when I asked them to explain what it meant, it could be cool, it could be not non-cool, uncool, so many different things. They just didn't know, but they found it so funny that, you know, that I was using it. And I think there's a lovely video of a US college professor who does his lecture in the slang of his students, and again they're just falling about because it's just such a kind of unusual thing. So I suspect that I wouldn't even now I wouldn't understand half the stuff they're saying because it's moved on so quickly. You can never capture slang. Samuel Johnson always said about language, which is really beautiful, he said we are forever chasing the sun because it's always going to be over there.
What I love doing, I'm fortunate enough to do sort of gigs in Europe, and it's just the best because you sort of like always look up like local phrases.
Yes.
And God, I love that. There's some, like Finland is fantastic.
Have you heard of the Finnish? Sorry.
Go on, you go.
Have you heard of the Finnish word kalsarikeni?
Yes, pants drunk.
Pants drunk. I just love it because it's so specific.
This like the Nordics are extraordinary that they have so many words for basically sitting around having a cake
like, in the dark.
A fika is Swedish,
coffee and cake, isn't it?
And that's to have a cake and a coffee and a chat, you know,
with a friend. I know, it's gorgeous.
Hygge is the Danish, I think, which is sort of a similar. It's like putting candles out. But the Finnish, if you have no money, they have this phrase, and it translates in English. my arse is wide open. That's how they say they have no money.
Well, it actually leads me to my next beautiful thing, which is right up this. This is exactly where we're going, which is the dictionary of untranslatable. So it's exactly words like this,
Right.
where and this is my own dictionary that is kind of lying around in notebooks everywhere. Although I've included quite a lot of these in some of my books, but. These are the words that we just don't have in English, so we need to borrow the words from other cultures to fill a gap. Or it could be that it's so, as you say, so specific to that culture that we will never need it. But it's just so fascinating because it tells us loads about the people who need it.
Presumably, are you familiar with Kummerspeck?
Yes.
I mean,
so German was my first love.
Yeah.
So I love that one. Yeah, the grief bacon.
Grief bacon, and it's overeating because of a romantic loss,
A breakup. Yeah.
But it's the German language is phenomenal for that. For those little, like those, like vibes, like words as vibes. Do you know what I mean? That we don't really have. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, and as everyone says, it's like Lego. You can just build and build and build and come up with something amazing. And I just love the sound of it as well. So they have real words like Verschlimmbesserung, which is an attempted improvement that ends up making things worse, which I'm very used to. And also Vorführungseffekt I learnt quite recently, and that's presentation effect. So this is essentially when the PowerPoint that you need to use has worked perfectly, all morning on your own, and then you're in front of your audience and it doesn't work. Or your washing machine miraculously starts working the moment the repair person turns up, or your cough just goes away when you sit in the doctor's surgery, all of that. So I love it. But the writer, Ben Schott, if you know him, he did this brilliant book called Schadenfreude, where he got a translator to make up as many words as they could to fill gaps in English. So he had some brilliant ones, and I think my favourite was Deppenfahrerbeäugung, which is the compulsion to stare at the bad driver that you're overtaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we all do. We all do it.
Yeah, it's so. But they're such, minute, beautifully observed nuggets, aren't they? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they are classified. It's the classification of those tiny nuggets. It makes it so exciting. Because our language, like English, is really great, and we're very lucky. We have it's very twisting, but yet the Germans really have that. Like, it's odd, like that we don't think of Germans as traditionally being very imaginative, and yet, my God, they are. Very sort of metaphorical and.
Oh, and they do yearning so well, and sort of wistfulness. They have this gorgeous word, Fernweh, which is far sickness. So they have homesickness, which is Heimweh, but they have Fernweh, which is the longing to be far away, which is just beautiful.
Yeah, I guess Wanderlust would be, that's a similar thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Weltschmerz, world pain, all of that. But Japanese too, I'm determined to learn Japanese, because as well as that... As well as that word
that's all I've got. That's all I've got. But it really helps, honestly. It kind of means like, yeah, sure. But you've really got to go for it. Hoi! And it's already good for the abs as well. Hoi! It tenses everything. Do you know what I mean?
I feel them clenching.
Yeah.
But to go with Kummerspeck, they have just another lovely word, which is Kuchi Sabishi, and this is definitely in the untranslatable dictionary, and I have also included this in my book, so it's not that they're all just lying around my room, but it's essentially the act of going to the fridge again and again and staring at its contents in the hope of finding something new. And the reason I love it is that its literal translation is lonely mouth. So it's the same. So you it's a light comfort eating, but it's just so much more emotional or emotive.
Mouth.
Lonely mouth.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Is there's a Chinese? I think it's Chinese that they call penguins the business goose. I believe that's.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I love
that's
that
right.
too.
Yeah.
Do you know what they used to call penguins?
Dinner?
Well, penguin is Welsh. It's one of the. I remember Rod Gilbert saying, which Welsh words are in the dictionary? And they now have loads, like hiraeth and hwyl and cwtch and things.
Yeah.
But at the time, the two were penguin and corgi. So penguin is from the Welsh penguin, whitehead.
Right.
And corgi means dwarf dog, I think, in Welsh. Anyway, in the 18th century, I think it was, sailors had this brilliant nickname for penguins, and then it kind of got picked up, even in scientific circles. Arsefoot.
Yeah.
Because you just have to look at a penguin and you just totally get it. It is just literally sitting on its feet. It's just gorgeous.
But what's fascinating about that again is the word for penguin is a Welsh word, and to my knowledge, penguin's not native to Swansea. No. And yet, it took a Welsh person to see one. Oh, that's a penguin, that is me. Right.
I know.
That's that dealt with. Like, isn't that extraordinary?
It's really odd, and there's a kind of
surely
story
the Eskimos, like if you could, you've got 1,000 words for snow, and you haven't been. You've got to wait for a
That's a bit of a kind of a myth that
is it?
Have more. Well, they do have lots of words for snow, but the Scots, I think, have more words for snow.
Wow.
So in some linguistic circles, it is the Great Snow Inuit snow myth. But they do have a lot for sure. But back to Welsh, I think it must have been Welsh sailors who spotted something called the Great Auk, which was another black and white flightless seabird, and that was the word that they originally gave the name penguin, and then eventually it was transferred to the penguins that we know today. But they were in Newfoundland, so but I guess they were Welsh speaking.
Yeah, fascinating. Dan, you look like you're about to leap in.
Well, business goose is a mistranslation.
Is it?
Sorry, but it's due to a kind of pun in Chinese where the same symbol, so it's standing up goose.
Right.
Is the translation, which is nice.
Yeah.
But not as good as business.
It's not as poetic as business, but standing up and business have a crossover within Chinese. Obviously, Chinese language is complex and very different to ours. But there is a crossover between standing up and being in business, and that's where it comes from.
Right.
It's not completely crazy.
Feels like I'm not going to get the points though.
And can I give you my final favourite one?
Absolutely.
Which I have again only discovered. So I think it's maybe reasonably new. I think it might even be a band name or a record name. Anyway, you know, in Liverpool they have a word for older people who they call the twirlies, and it's because they always end up at the bus depot too early, twirly.
Oh, twirlies, yeah.
For their free bus travel.
Yeah.
Well, in France, if you reach a certain age and you're greeting someone else of a similar age, instead of saying, you know, how was your holiday or what are you up to today, you say in French, "T'as mal eu?" Where does it hurt? And then you can discuss your aches and pains and your forthcoming doctor's appointments.
Oh,
and they're the
nice.
Tamalus. The Tamalus. I just love it. I think I'm fast becoming a Tamalu, actually.
My I don't know if this is a well-known one, but my cousin Lee refers to the area between the testicles and the anus as he's from the West Country, as the twirnt.
Yeah.
Because if it twirnt there, because if it twirnt there, your ass would fall out. So that's apparently where it comes from. And I don't know whether that's a well-known one or whether my cousin came up with it, but
I like that. It reminds me of the Merineum, the sort of bit between Christmas and New Year. They call it the Merineum because it kind of is like.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. God, words are. Oh, I love it. I mean, when did this start for you? This sort of fascination with language?
Really early on.
Probably because you just had a pebble from a mate, I guess.
Yes. I know. I've realised how sad that makes me.
No, not the slightest. But when did it?
But I have genuinely always been a nerd. Long before, or a SWAT even, and SWATs have never been cool. I mean, today I think nerds and geeks are actually pretty cool, but SWATs never. And it's because linguistically it's a riff on sweat. So I guess it was never going to be a good thing. But yeah, I was a SWAT from very early on. It's always been my kind of oasis. And you talk about German. My sister was very normal. She is gorgeous. We both went to a convent school, so we didn't really know much about boys. But people would always look at me and my sister and say, "My God, are you her sister?" Because I obviously wasn't beautiful and popular. I mean, I wasn't. Or I had my own group of friends, but I was quite nerdy. But in the back of the car, she would be, playing with her eyelash curlers or reading the latest racy novel. I would honestly be head down in a German vocabulary book because I just loved it so much. It was just such a magical world for me. And I can't really explain why. I can't put my finger on why I was so attracted to particularly that language at that time, except its sounds were just so beautiful. I was able to pronounce them fairly easily in a way that I found French quite tricky at the beginning. And it was just a magical world for me. So I can't really tell you why or how, just that it's, as long as I can remember, it's kind of always been there, that fascination with words. And that even before I could spell or even read them, they looked so exotic to me, all these letters on things.
Yeah. What's your next brilliant thing?
Very, very prosaic, but really fundamental thing in my life, which is hot water bottles.
Yeah.
So I have been cold, or nesh, as they say up north, for as long as I can remember. Really, really susceptible to the cold. And hot water bottles just are everything to me. They are comfort. They are obviously warmth. They are a bit like my pet rock. They're just these incredible things. So for 3 decades, under the desk in the Countdown studio, I had a hot water bottle.
Wow.
Until one burst. And I had to go and stand in the shower for about 20 minutes. And now I have a heated seat pad. And I'm sitting on one now as well.
Wow.
So, because I've always been quite skinny, and so not that much padding, and I'm just always freezing. But it's more than the sum of its parts. Hot water bottles. I just think, I remember going for a girls' weekend years and years ago with Rachel Riley. We went to Dublin, and she made me drink a I can't remember. Was it Black Velvet, a Guinness with Prosecco?
Yes. I think so. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Oh yeah.
I thought she absolutely loved it. But anyway, and the evening ended up with us in a chemist and me buying an incredibly long hot water bottle. That was just the end of our night out, because it was just so cold.
And did Rachel fill it full of Guinness and then just down it?
No. She didn't do that, actually. Okay. That might have been a good idea. But so at any one time, I love having a hot water bottle around me. And if I can't, then I've just got hand warmers and those sort of heated wraps that you can put around your body and sort of that kind of thing.
That feels like that could be an untranslatable word, doesn't it? The excitement one gets from filling up one's hot water bottle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't enjoy the filling up because I normally burn myself. In fact, I've got loads of burn marks to prove it. But
you know what I mean? It's like it's the anticipation of heat from the hot water bottle. So you get that. And have you got like...
That's really... Yes, do I have a word for it?
You got to do that. Come up with it. What can we do?
Well, you're mentioning the Danish hygge.
Yeah.
There's a lovely adjective to go with that, which is hyggelugge, which is what it makes you feel, hyggelugge. So maybe it's my hyggelugge bottle.
Interesting. So
hyggelugge. Postbox. Hyggelugge.
Nice. What's have you got like a bunch of hot water bottles on rotation, or you just got...
No, so as I say, this is I do appreciate that I could have chosen a more exciting, beautiful thing, but I thought I would be honest as to how important this was for me. In fact, if I was ever on Desert Island Disc, I probably would have to ask for some kind of self-heating hot water bottle. But no, I've migrated to these heat pads now that I sit on, and they're great. I haven't got hemorrhoids yet, which is what a lot of people say. Oh, you'll get hemorrhoids. No.
Such an English reaction to that, isn't it? I've got these new hood pads. Oh, your arse will be in a state. You'll be roided up.
Yes. You don't have much to say about this, and I totally understand. It's quite niche, but important in my life.
Yeah, of course. And are you taking a hot water bottle to bed, or are you fine with your duvets?
Yeah, I'm usually okay with the duvets or heated throws. A heated throw is just, again, another amazing discovery.
Yeah, but do you not have that fear that it's going to burn your house down? Because we had one briefly at our house, and I just didn't. My wife was like, "Oh, it's great." I was like, "I'm not into this witchcraft."
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What?
I just didn't trust myself. Something would
What?
happen. I'd electrocute myself. Something would go wrong.
Oh, no, I think I put the heat above everything else, to be honest. No, I don't, because we've had electric blankets for decades, haven't we?
Yeah, I know. I've got this
Yeah.
weird sort of fear of it. I don't know what it is. So do you love?
You're really struggling here, aren't you, for questions? What else could
Yeah,
I
I am.
ask about?
But have you got like that? What's that? There's the disease, isn't it? Like Raynaud's disease, where you're kind of.
Raynaud's, yeah.
Have you got that?
No, well, I don't know if I have got
extremities get
Raynaud's.
chilly. Yeah.
Yes, it basically everywhere does. I get to the point where my lips genuinely go almost black. They get really, really blue. So if I'm doing some filming outside or whatever, I genuinely am totally wrapped up in these heat pads. I once talked to Julia Bradbury about this. She got it actually because she does loads of outside walking things, and she is exactly the same. So it's not just me.
Jesus, that must be awful if it's your job to walk outdoors in this country and you hate the cold. At least you're behind a desk. Do you know what I mean?
That is true.
So
that is true.
When you go on holiday, is the first thing you're looking at is the temperature, presumably? Just somewhere that's got to be roasting.
No, not. It's weird that. So no, I was talking about kind of Scandi words and things. I love those places and I love snow, but I just need to be fully prepared.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It looked like, just out of the corner of my eye, Susie, I could see Dan hovering.
Obviously.
And it feels like he might have some hot water bottle
some
based
facts.
questions.
No, 20 deaths a year in the UK from electric blankets, which makes them incredibly safe,
Okay.
Oh, good.
given how many people use them every day.
How many people use them every day?
21.
Yeah, okay.
No, loads of people use them, so it's just fine. It's very, very safe. So you can rest easy in your electric blanket.
Was
Tough
this from
funeral. Tough
someone
funeral.
inadvertently spilling a cup of tea or something on them? Do you know?
There was a couple from heat stroke where they just didn't take it off for long enough, and then basically they start fires, and then. But
Right.
talking about that side of things is only going to discourage Russell from, moving towards this.
Sure. I don't even wear pajamas though. I'm fine. I'm kind of I like to have my feet outside the duvet at
Your
night.
rocks out.
Yeah, I get my rocks out. No, I have my feet outside the duvet.
Have you ever seen or read The Meaning of Life? Have you heard of this? It was
Douglas
written
Adams.
by Douglas Adams and John Lloyd, and so you will know they chose place names to fill gaps in the language, and one of them is Abilene, I think it is, which is the pleasing cool underside of your pillow.
Yes.
You know, when you turn it over and it just
Do you know that
I
book?
do get that.
I don't know
It's
the book.
brilliant.
Yeah.
It
Another
is.
one from that is skibbereen, which is the noise of flesh leaving a plastic chair.
Yes. We've all been there.
That is good. And
Well,
there's Winkley, which is it's something, a lost object turning up the moment you buy a replacement for it.
Yes.
And woking, which is the act of walking into a room, stopping and realising you haven't a clue why you walked in there.
Yeah.
Which, given that I and Sean Locke actually were born in Woking, I thought that's quite a good one for me.
And Paul Weller. What a hat trick.
And Paul Weller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff. So your final brilliant thing, what is it, Susie?
My final brilliant thing, which I've been looking into quite a lot recently, is graffiti.
Yes.
Which
tagging? You a tagger?
I'm not a tagger. And when I say graffiti is a beautiful thing, I'm not really talking about tagging. That absolutely has its place.
Yeah. You're not anti-tag?
No, I'm not anti-tag, but someone just saying I was here is not particularly interesting.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
and nor is kind of defacing beautiful buildings, etc.
Yeah.
But I just think the history of it, it's a bit like the history of swearing. It's always that kind of gets me, is really, really interesting. So if you go back to Pompeii.
Yeah, wild,
You
isn't
know,
it? Cop
it is
bullshit
wild.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yes, really obscene, a lot of it. But then you also get, essentially Gaius was here. You get the same thing. Or you get... in an inn for mule keepers, you get something like, I must apologise, mine host, for wetting the bed, but there was no chamber pot. And this is kind of graffitied on the wall.
Yeah.
And
Earliest ever TripAdvisor.
What the hell?
yeah.
Why wouldn't you go in the bed? That's ridiculous.
Why are you looking at me?
I didn't
Why would you
really,
just
didn't really
sit
analyse
in
this
your
bit.
own urine rather than go to the outside?
Because it was.
Well, maybe it was inadvertent.
Yes.
Well, then the chamber pot thing is just a lie.
Well, they've said sorry. Listen, they've had an
No,
accident.
but their reasoning is preposterous.
But what's extraordinary about it is that this was in Pompeii, so they probably thought it's fine. Do you know what I mean? I should say this. It's not like anyone's going to remember it forever. And then suddenly, oh God.
Yes, preserved forevermore.
But it's so interesting, isn't it? How, when we think of the Romans as like this kind of, ancient civilization that was so kind of beyond its years and came up with these brilliant ideas, and yet there's also this really, like, the theatre is very kind of vulgar and rude, and it's all like sort of like big dicks and just kind of big masks, and it's all kind of grotesque,
Yeah, and they had these curse tablets as well. So in Bath, they have in the Roman baths, they've discovered these it's a kind of graffiti, I suppose. So they were stones on which people carved sort of wishes of revenge for people who had, like stolen their coat or taken away their lover or whatever, but like wishing really hideous things upon them. So it was pretty juicy from that point of view. But also, graffiti wasn't always about rebellion. It was just about, writing up the everyday. It was just saying, I was here, I exist, in a really sort of basic way. And it was only really a lot later that it became the real, spoken but unspoken act of rebellion that we see it as today. And I just, because I wrote a crime novel a couple of years ago, last year, and in it there's a church near here in Burford, in Oxfordshire, where a prisoner who was a leveller was basically imprisoned in St John the Baptist Church, and he wrote his name on the baptismal font. And you couldn't spell, so he just said prisoner without the O. Again, just sort of saying, I exist, I was here in case something happens to me, and it did, he was executed. And I find the history of that fascinating, and the kind of political messages as well. I think there was a time when the number 45 just sort of appeared in lots and lots of different places a couple of 100 years ago, and it was pointing to a political pamphlet where someone was criticising the king, but they couldn't say so openly. But they put down the issue number of a political pamphlet. So 45 was just everywhere around the city. And I just find it fascinating. It's this sort of underground language where obviously it can be really beautiful as well. Some of the murals are just stunning, as we know from Banksy and many, many others. So I find it a really interesting form of expression, and I don't think we should. Well, I mean, I think we do prize it in many, many ways. But
I think we do. I think
we either sanctify it or we reject it, but there's nothing in between.
Yeah, and it's sort of, it's almost like at its best, graffiti is almost like the art equivalent of a really good heckle. Like, do you know what I mean? It's sort of, it just hits the nail on the head in a like this load, because Trump recently came to the UK. Lots of kind of basically just bits of graffiti, nice heckles against the leader of the free world. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of, I tell you where there's brilliant graffiti. If you go to like alleys in Melbourne, in Australia, they kind of, it's amazing. They have these kind of just graffiti all over, and these brilliant like little kind of like breakfast places, and just eggs and graffiti. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
really
in prisons as well, I think too. I know in Oxford Prison there's some kind of graffiti which has never been erased. It just sort of left there as, as the mark of someone who's now forgotten, but their writing isn't. And there's something really sad, quite tragic about it in many ways as well.
I always quite like when you see on a bridge like the little padlocks. I'm a big fan of that.
I do.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's a symbol of teenage love. It feels like such a brilliant teenage, let's go to that bridge and put our padlocks, we're in love forever. And I don't know, it just looks really, I don't know, it's odd, isn't it? It's just one of those things that a lot of people would hate it, but I like it. I don't know, there's something really cute and eternal about it.
It's eternal. It's the kind of the equivalent, I suppose, of the heart etched into a tree, isn't it? Back to trees, which is also really lovely. I've never actually graffitied anything. Have you, Lou Cubicle?
Do you know? I'm trying to think. I don't think I have either.
Oh God.
Have you?
Yeah.
What have you done?
We 15 years old, went on a French trip, and
Pornos and flick knives.
with a piece of chalk, I wrote "wiggle it just a little bit" across the whole front of the chalet.
Oh,
Which was fun and funny.
yeah.
But
At
then
the
it
time.
wasn't funny when they brought everyone on the trip. So you took in 200 kids
Yeah.
in front of it going, who did this?
Oh no.
And you've got that moment of decision. Am I going to ride this out? I just step forward.
Oh, you did?
It
Good
was
for
me.
you.
Well done.
Only because I
did
was
you have to-
proud of it.
And did you have to explain what Wiggle It just a little, where you got it
No,
from?
I think everyone was, au fait with pop music enough.
Sure. The teachers?
They didn't deserve to know.
Right, fine.
And what
do you remember-
happened?
Well, hang on, yeah.
I had to scrub it all off.
Fine.
Restore it. There
All
wasn't
fine.
too much punishment because I think they saw the art.
What made you do that? Just,
At 15?
yeah.
Do you know why you did anything at 15 years old?
Well, was it to impress?
There were no girls on the trip.
But it was just to look, this is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. But it's an odd thing to write. Wiggle it just a little
No,
bit.
we'd probably been listening to it on the coach.
Fine.
Nonsense.
Okay.
Do you remember on the show? I think we did this on the show. Graffiti for Good in Manchester. There was someone who drew dicks round all the potholes,
Yes.
and then within 48 hours,
Oh,
they
they were all
fixed them all
filled.
because they had to get rid of these profane symbols all
Oh,
over
that's
the road.
pretty nice.
What's a good idea?
I tell you what's a frustrating bit of graffiti that you used to see where I used to live in Primrose Hill. Somebody went around with fluorescent paint and just sprayed it around kind of dog mucks that people had left. And you're like, well, that doesn't help either. Now all you're doing is you're just colouring in a turd. That used to frustrate the hell out of me. You'd see it everywhere. It's just that it's one of my real bugbears when people don't pick up the dog muck, and even worse when they put it in the little kind of plastic pot and then put
and
it
hang
back
it on
down.
a tree.
Come on, yeah, exactly. Like it's a fucking what are those things you have at Christmas?
Baubles.
A bauble.
Why do they hang it on a tree? Is the idea that they're going to come back and put it? I don't understand. I've never understood this.
Ludicrous, isn't it? Yeah. Just carry it for a little bit in your finger and then toss it in the bin. It's a nice feeling. Well, it's so interesting. So you've never graffitied. Have you broken any laws? Shoplift? You ever done that?
No.
Would be great.
Three
I killed a
murders.
man. Yeah. No, shoplifting. What we do?
No,
Speeding?
I'm going to be like Theresa May
Speeding.
running through the fields. Is like that question, isn't it?
Speeding.
What's that for? You kind of like you eat food and then duck out. What's it called?
Or like dine and run.
Yeah. Have you done that?
No. I think I did that by mistake once, and then with a friend.
There we go.
And then-
Shame.
and then we did
Shame.
but no,
Shame.
we've-
Shame.
Shame. No, I don't think I have. Have you? Okay, I'm gonna
No, I'm
turn this around
pretty.
now.
Yeah, well, the most appalling thing I stole from a charity shop once, which is as low as it gets. Yeah, it's appalling, isn't it?
Yes. What was it?
Just a T-shirt. It was awful. I was young and didn't have any money, and I liked the
Naive.
T-shirt, but I still stole from a
I
charity
don't want to
shop.
help the aged.
I know. Yeah, and it would be good if it was, but it wasn't. It was a good one as well. It was a really good one. So that's
And you've
my-
still got it, and you're wearing
yeah,
it.
exactly. But yeah, yuck. I really enjoyed that. So fascinating. Does it frustrate you when people just want to know about words from you? Does that happen a lot? Because I feel like that's what I've done to you today.
Would you prefer to be
No,
asked
no.
about the crimes you've committed?
Yeah, I'm trying to vary it. But
No, it doesn't bother me at all, because you can probably tell I just love talking
Good.
about them.
you're very
So
yeah. But
I
you're so
really like it.
you wear your intelligence really lightly and well. It's great. It's
Oh.
but it isn't like you don't have a daunting intellect, and I mean that as a
No,
Ju-
it's definitely.
which is the best
Not.
way. You know, when you meet people who are super smart, and I feel cleverer in your presence, and that's the point of wisdom. Rather than when you spend time with people that are really smart, and you're like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Oh god. Do you know what I mean? You're just like,
Do you know it's really odd. I was thinking about this the other day. There are some people who you really shine with, even if you don't know them very well.
Yeah.
Everything is really articulate,
Yes.
and you sound really good. And then there are other people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when you meet them, aware or anything, you just cannot say anything right.
Yeah.
And there's really, I don't know what it is.
Again,
It's more than
should be a
chemistry.
word. Should be another word.
Yes.
It's an untranslatable word. You know,
It
it's
is.
that falling to bits in front of certain people. Like
Yes.
there's a phenomena on the comedy circuit, and every comedian has this, where you have never had a good gig in front of a certain comedian. And every comedian will,
bizarre.
like, every single one of us has that thing where you're like, oh, Steve Best. There's a comedian called Steve Best, and he must be
Is he everyone's
absolutely.
choice?
No, for me,
No,
he
he's
would
lovely
be.
guy.
For me, he would be baffled as to how I've managed to have my own TV shows and done gigs, because I have never ever done well in front of him. It's this every comedian. Dan, who's yours?
Ian Stone.
There you go. Exactly. But it's
bizarre.
but we have a very specific within our kind of community version of that, where you fall to pieces, and yet you can be in front of, like, I don't know, Reg D. Hunter, and he's like, you know, you're hilarious. Like, well,
Yeah.
thanks, Reg. It happens all the time. Like, do you know what
And
I
you
mean?
just brush it off.
Yeah,
But then,
it's
that
wild.
it is really, really odd. Also, with comedians, what I really find fascinating linguistically is that everything is really dark. So you killed it, or you brought the roof down, or
Smashed
or I
it.
died.
Yes.
Yeah, I find that really
Killed,
interesting too.
crushed.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
find that crushing it has migrated over, because I feel like that was a thing from the world of comedy. You go, how does it get crushed it? And now people are crushing it all over the place. And
Right.
yeah, it must be a very, you know, if you worked in, like, sort of refuge, it must be strange to be saying that. Similar with, like, you know, I killed it. Like,
Yeah.
if you worked at a funeral director, you can't, do you know, or dignitas.
I'm just wondering if
Wow.
it comes from a place of a low confidence industry where you use these big words because you're always so scared, and so when it goes well, you need to communicate that in the most emphatic way you can,
Right.
relating it to life and death. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, it's often about not doing well, though, isn't it? I died on my arse, or
Yeah. It depends
whatever.
which comics you talk to be honest. Like, there'll be a lot of people who have died on their arse, and yet they'll tell you quite loudly that they tore it a new arsehole. And you're like,
Oh, okay.
"No,
Ooh.
I'm not sure you did." But again,
I've never realised that's a graphic one.
it's unbelievably graphic.
That's like going back to that Norwegian. Was it Norwegian or Finnish?
Finish.
Whatever,
But,
when you were bankrupt
yeah, but it's that again, you know,
or skint.
she tore me a new arsehole. Again, it's just like, wow. That is an extraordinary
I'm trying
vibe.
to unpick that one. Maybe I shouldn't.
But
What-
it's so
why is that good?
It's not good, but it
No.
makes no sense. But it's losing an argument. That's what it means. And yet, she told me a new arsehole. So
So it's not a good. So you're not saying, "Oh, I did really well." I
terrible.
smashed
oh
it.
no,
awful.
it's
Oh.
bad. It's bad as in, she,
Oh,
she, like, in this, the lady really showed me that I was in a position of wrong.
So it's metaphorically
Okay.
appropriate.
yeah.
But
I'm learning a lot today.
But it's such, and yet bizarrely, to tear the gig a new arsehole is doing really
good.
well. It's a really good thing. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's I mean, I didn't anticipate having to explain this.
No,
But
that's what I
it
mean.
is,
It's so interesting, all this shorthand that everyone has.
and it
We
might
don't
just be
often
it
realise
might just be an English thing. I don't know if it's said in other parts of the world, but many comics in this country will say they tore a new arsehole. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It is
I
interesting.
really enjoyed that, Susie. Absolute
Thank you.
joy. Thank you so much for coming on the show, ladies and gentlemen. The wonderful Susie Dent.